Now, if you should be here for Rotary Your Way, form the club you always wanted. So what I want to tell you is you are in the right place, because of course membership is a holistic approach. We need to recruit members. Obviously we need to engage them so we retain them, but we also form new clubs. But Rotary has outside studies and it has internal studies. And what the studies show is the most important thing we can do to grow Rotary membership is to form new clubs. And it may sound simple, but the reality is the areas of the world that are growing are forming new clubs and forming more clubs than they are losing. The areas of the world that are declining in membership are losing clubs and not starting new clubs. So you're in the right place. And the object of this session is for you to meet experts from around the world, and they'll introduce themselves, but we actually have an expert from Australia, one from England, one from Africa, and one from the West Coast of the United States. But they have all been successful, and they are experts because they have started new clubs, and those clubs have grown. Now, my personal experience with new clubs shows that, at least in my district, our new clubs are growing faster than our traditional clubs. And it's funny because our DGN is from a veterans club that we started not too many years ago, and our DGND is from our Pride club that we just started 3 years ago. So these new clubs seem to create a lot of energy, but you know all that, and that's why you're here. So we have some important people in the back of the room. We have Steve Rottenberg, who's our general counsel, and he's our staff liaison to this group. And as many lawyers would do, he told me I had to go through the rules with you. Luckily, he didn't make you sign a waiver when you entered. But we appreciate you being here, Steve. But he wanted you to know that our materials and all these slides, and of course you could contact any of these experts, they'll be happy to help you, as will I. But these slides will be available on your mobile app. And also, if you'd like to evaluate the session, it'll be available on the mobile app. So before we get started, I'd like the panelists just to briefly introduce themselves. And if you want more background on them, you could look at the mobile app and their bios will be in there. So why don't we start with Yvonne?
Good morning, everyone. My name is PDG Tom Gump. I'm from District 9104, Accra, Ghana.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Virginia McKenzie from Seattle, Washington. We started with Seattle for Rotary, and as the charter president of the Rotary Club of the Pacific Northwest Ending Sex Trafficking. That's a long title. I'm not. Thanks for having me today.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Steve Martin. I am from Rotary Great Britain Ireland. I'm from Liverpool. I am a member of the North Wales and North West England Support Club, which I will tell you a little bit more about later on.
Good morning, friends. I'm Andy from Australia. Tom and I were governors in the same year, 2020-2021. We were the COVID governors. But it's quite interesting because at that time, I think Tom and I were very passionate, and we were two governors who formed most of the clubs, new clubs. I formed 5 new Rotary clubs in the COVID year, 3 Rotary satellite clubs, 3 Rotary clubs, an Interact club, and a Rotary club. So it was quite interesting. We'll talk about it later. From 1st July, I take on the new role of Regional Membership Director for Zone 8. We are one of 2 global pilots. The other being Great Britain Ireland. So we'll share with you some interesting stuff later on. Thank you.
Yeah. And PDG, Andy, I'm assuming when you say COVID governor, that refers to a period in time and not a current condition. Because Steve's sharing the mic with you and he wants to know, and the audience wants to know. So before we get started, you have to ask yourself, why form a new club? I mean, we have traditional clubs. Why do we need to form a club? Now, first, there's a debate sometimes about, is Rotary a membership organization or is it a service organization? And sometimes even up to the board of directors, when they're orienting new directors, they'll ask that question. Well, being a recovering attorney myself, I like to read the policies. In Article 5, it says we are a membership organization, but we do the world's best service because nobody joins a club to do nothing, they do service. But why form a new club? Well, there's certain things that the new clubs do. The new clubs actually make us grow Rotary quicker than we do with just our traditional clubs. It helps us retain members longer, and we'll talk a little bit about why. It attracts younger and more diverse members. It helps Rotary be more visible in the community, and it also increases our opportunity to partner with other organizations. Now, growing Rotary quicker. Why does a new club grow Rotary quicker? Well, currently, under our current code of policies, you have to have 20 members to start a club. Well, it takes a long time to do 20 members into a traditional club. When we started our Rotary Club for Network for Empowering Women, we added 50 members to our district at one time. It would take us a long time to do that without that. Now, why retain members longer? Have any of you heard about cause-based clubs? Cause-based, yeah. So a cause-based club is like a traditional club, but instead of doing many areas of focus when it comes to their service, they focus on one particular cause, maybe ending human trafficking or serving the environment. Well, a lot of these cause-based clubs, Rotary can act as a magnet to bring those people in because we have the global grants, we have the district grants. And what we found out in membership is we lose most of our members within the first 3 years. We lose 10% in our first year, and by the third year, we lose close to 50%. But what we found out is these new cause-based clubs, the cause brings those people in, and then after that, they become like all of us. They come to Singapore for conventions, and they, stay in their club, meet on weekends and those kind of things. This is a picture of the Veterans Club we recently started in our district, and some members drive over 2.5 hours to come to their in-person meetings and service projects. And our traditional clubs, they usually work or live within a 10-minute range. So that passion really helps keep people. It also helps increase diversity. When I was governor, we started 8 clubs in my district, and we don't keep racial data at RI because it's an Illinois corporation, and we're not allowed to keep that data. But when it comes to gender, we are allowed to keep that data. And one goal that our team had during my district governor years, we wanted to increase the percentage of female members in our district. We went from 30% to over 32%. But at the end of the year, we wanted to do it again, so we did an analysis. Why did that happen? When we looked at the new members, female members that joined, it was in primarily three clubs. Our Eco Club, which had 50%, just over 50% females. Our End Human Trafficking Club had over 60%, and our Network for Empowering Women that we started had almost 70%. So these new clubs, if you get on a Zoom call, and a lot of these new clubs, and you'll hear from our experts, are e-clubs. But you'll see the screen looks a little bit different than the screen would look for a traditional club. A little bit younger, a little bit more diverse. Also, these new clubs make you more visible in the community. When we started our End Human Trafficking Club, we actually initiated a woman who was from Turkey at the time. And after we initiated her, I got a call from the then sitting president, Mark Maloney of Rotary International, saying that that was his sister that we just inducted. And he had been trying to get her into Rotary for 40 years. But she didn't have a club. She was a teacher and she worked during the day. She didn't have a club she could meet. She wanted to meet online and she wanted to focus in one area, which was end human trafficking. So these new clubs reach out to those potential people of action and bring them in to their clubs. The last reason new clubs are good is because they increase partnership opportunities. There's all kinds of group you can partner with. This is a young gentleman. He was part of a Rotary Action Group, experts who helped funding projects and they helped plan projects, but he was a young person who wanted to do projects. So we partnered up with SRAG, the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, got a list of 120 young people called, and we got 40 people, and we started a Rotaract Club for the environment. And why is it important that we do these new clubs? Because sometimes, I belong to a traditional club, like many of you started at, as we heard in your introduction. And what do? We rake leaves, we make food, we pick up trash along the highway. Well, if I went to my son and say, join my club, we pick up trash, they might not get excited, because the young people, they want to focus in one area and have great impact in one area. So now we get to the exciting part. You're going to hear from the experts. And we're going to start out with Andy. And Andy, we often heard it's important to have a champion. Why is that?
Okay, let me share with you a very interesting story. I know one gentleman, Mr. Downey, and calling Byron from Australia, he knows the story, but you all don't know. When I was the governor, I visited one club and I had time the next day. So you become accidental tourist. So past district governor of that area took me to another town and said, Andy, I'd like you to see a town. I am from Rotary Club of Burley Heads in Australia, in the Gold Coast, and this town was called Evansdale. So he took me to the lookout and just on a little lock and showed me the town down. And I saw so many rooftops. And I asked him, Governor, tell me, why is there no Rotary Club in this town? He said, Andy, we don't know. We never thought about it. I asked him, can you take me down to the street? We walked up and down the only main street, very small main street, maybe just twice the size of this room. And I walked into the best looking shop front. There was a couple of shops and the best looking office. It was a real estate agent. I still remember the colors, yellow and purple. And yellow is one of my favorite colors. So I walked in there. I know it's just, there's no second chance for first impression. So the two ladies at the reception asked me, yes, how can I help you? I asked them, do you have a Rotary Club in this town? They said, no. I said, I'm the Rotary governor. Can you please take me to your boss? In 2 minutes, I was in front of this gentleman, who's the owner of the real estate. I said, this is a beautiful town. I'm the district governor for this area for Rotary International. How come there is no Rotary Club in this beautiful town? He said, I don't know anything about Rotary. I'm the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. And I can't get members. I told him, I can help you. And he asked me how. I said, we form a Rotary Club. Rotarians are individual members, they have their companies. Companies can become members of the Chamber of Commerce. Oh, he said, I have no time. I said, it's okay. Right? Can you be the person to bring the people together? I'll do the rest. You don't have to be part of the Rotary Club. And he said, I can do that. He's the chairman of the Chamber. And in a week, he said, okay, come next week, I have it happening. I'll give you the stage. So, he became my community champion. I told him, you be my community champion, just to bring the people together. And he had the influence, because he was a real estate agent. Second, chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. And I had no pressure, because he had no pressure to join the Rotary Club. Within 30 days, we had formed the club. And when we were signing the applications for charter, he came to me and said, can I join it?
That's wonderful.
So it's very important that you get the right community champion.
Mm-hmm.
And that club went on to form a satellite club, another Rotary Club, and also has produced calling the district governor nominee for our district come from that.
Perfect. So Steve, after we find our champion and he or she is very excited, what do we do next when we're going to form the club?
Thanks, Tom. And I think that's a really important point about having the right person. That's really, really important. Thanks for covering that, Andy. But in terms of who decides what this new club is going to be like, it has to be the members. It has to be the people in the club. It is their club, and we have to remember that. So, yes, we have our champion, we have our leader, we have some experience, somebody to help them along the way. And of course, we do have our Rotary International bylaws and our club bylaws, but we need to remember that they are there to protect us and to protect the organisation. But we don't want hard and fast rules, and this is the way it's going to work. This is their club, so when it comes to things like, and these are important things, okay, things like dress code. What do we wear for our meetings? What time are we going to meet? Are we going to eat I don't mean in general, I just mean meetings. Are we going to meet? Are we, what time are we going to meet? What about our socials? These are really important things. What about our projects? Who's going to decide what projects we do? These things I think are really, really important. And it is the people in the clubs that decide. I started, in my district, we didn't have a flexible club. We just didn't have, we had clubs that would meet in bars and things like that, but we didn't have a properly flexible club. So I looked at the passport one. We didn't have a passport club in Rotary Great Britain Island. And I looked, I called upon Facebook with a club in Australia and Canada, and I just messaged them and said, look, how do you guys do it? What is this passport one? So they told me. So me and a few others decided to get together on Zoom, and we said, right, okay, let's start this new club. What do we want it to look like? What do we want our new club to look like? And so we decided we were going to do it on the model of Australia and in Canada, and that we would all meet together on Zoom, but we would go and visit other clubs and we would do our service in other clubs. Brilliant, great. Then 2 weeks later, we invited a couple more people along. And then we took another 2 weeks and we said, next time, bring somebody else. And this was Rotarians and non-Rotarians, people new to Rotary. And every time they came in, we said, this is what we're planning. What would you like to do? And we made them feel valued. We made them feel part of the club straight away because we gave them decisions about what they wanted to do. And actually, strangely enough, we changed our mind and we didn't run it on the model of Australia or Canada. We changed it completely. And now we do what we want to do. And we do our own projects. We don't join, or we do join with other clubs. We do our own specific projects. So you can revisit what you decide to do, and going back to that club plan and having and revisiting and replanning and having that club survey is so important to include and make everybody feel valued in the club. But for me, that's the most important part.
Mm-hmm. Now, Steve, most of the world, as I belong to a traditional club, what we sometimes call legacy club, how are those clubs different than our new clubs that are forming?
I think the most important thing to say is that whatever Rotary club you're in, everybody, we all have the same ethos, we all have the same beliefs in Rotary, and that is really, really important. We just want to do it in a different way. I'm not a big fan of the word traditional Rotary club because it just conjures up old-fashioned, and actually a lot of them are not like that. I like tradition in Rotary, I like traditions. I like putting my dinner suits on from time to time, dinging the bell. I like it, but a lot of people don't. A lot of our new traditional clubs, they don't include this sort of thing. Our new clubs are mostly project-based. People want to roll their sleeves up, they want to get involved, they want our clubs to be flexible, they want to drop in and out, and that's absolutely fine. But I think our new clubs, most of the cause-based clubs, and other types of clubs, don't have that fixed. We need to go to Rotary and have lunch every week. That's pretty much it. But actually, the very first thing I said about that ethos and what we're working towards, everybody wants the same end game, and that's to do good in the world. We should remember that.
Yeah. Now, Steve, you have a unique position since you serve on the Rotary International Growth Committee. So you hear stories about membership from all around the world. What are you seeing are the most popular types of new clubs that are forming?
Well, definitely, cause-based clubs are probably the most popular. And cause-based clubs and interest clubs, it doesn't have to be about a cause. We don't have to fight that cause, and we will hear more from Virginia about that. It could just be a group of people who are interested in the same thing. It doesn't have to be a cause. And they're very similar, but you've got a captive audience. So for me, the ideal one would be I'm a former police officer. I did 30 years in the police. And I can tell you that police officers, paramedics, fire officers, shift workers that work for the National Health Service in hospitals, they all have that same attitude to life. They all gravitate towards each other. They all have the same sick sense of humour. Okay? Just believe me, have got a captive audience, and so there's a challenge there, okay? A 911 club or a blue light club, if anyone gets it, and if anyone could do it, I think it would probably be the first one. I don't know of any others. So these are the sorts of clubs that are the most popular, that are definitely cause-based and interest clubs.
I love coming to international conventions because you meet so many people and they have all these new ideas. I ran into a gentleman from India who's starting, well, it's actually started, but he's growing now, a club of yoga, so the Rotary Club of Yoga. So they meet and do yoga instead of eating breakfast. I thought that was interesting.
Just got this vision of you and the yoga suit that's on.
Yoga pants don't lie, Steve. I can't say. Yvonne, you have started many clubs. You are an expert in doing that. The question I always get when I tell people, hey, why don't you think about starting a club? They always ask, the first question is, how do I find the members? Can you tell us how to do that?
Okay, now, this takes me back to 2021, when I was governor and our president was Paul Gump.
Yes.
He said, think outside the box and be innovative, and stressed it so many times. And that's exactly what we did. And using some of the strategies that I'm going to share with you today, we managed to form in 1 year 14 Rotary clubs and 7 Rotary clubs. We wanted to meet districts out of a very huge district, and we managed to do that, and we've not looked back since. Now, I believe those 3 points there are all intertwined, and as I speak, you will find those questions answered. The first one is the most effective method. Just ask. We never do. I am continuously in people's faces. And it is so simple. Reach out to friends, to work colleagues, to acquaintances, anybody who gives off a vibe of being a possible good Rotarian, and invite them to experience Rotary firsthand. Now, personal invitations carry an immense weight. We tend to forget that. And I'm sad to say it took 2 years for 2 Rotarians bothering me before I got into Rotary. I attended my first meeting and I kicked myself ever since. I should have listened and had gone in earlier. Now, another thing we do with clubs, when we invite somebody in and go through the training and the induction, we give them 6 weeks to 2 months to scroll through their contact lists and pick 1 or 2 people to invite to their new club meeting, just like they were invited in the first place. So if you invite 4 people, there's the possibility of getting another 4 within the next 2 weeks, and then the 4 becomes 8, it becomes 12, it becomes 16, and you get the multiple ripple effect. A lot of clubs in my district do this, and it really works. You have new members with new contact lists. Use them. Now the other one is Rotary Foundation alumni. Have a big district, maybe cocktail or gathering, and invite all your foundation alumni. They know our mission, they already know our values. Bring them in and invite the clubs. And there's a scramble for potential, perspectives into Rotary. But this is where we thought outside the box. And your third question would be answered. When we talk about alumni, it's not just Rotary alumni. We didn't think so. We've got one big channel, schools. Every country has got huge schools, and every year there are about maybe 200 to 350 alumni coming into the public. We put out the flyers that we were forming Rotary clubs with particular schools. The first one we chatted 28 members. The second one we charted with 56 members a couple of weeks ago. And today I have 214 people sitting on a platform waiting to go through training for the third school alumni-based club. I mean, it was just incredible. When word went round that St. Mary's has got a Rotary Club, or the alumni, not the school itself, or St. Peter's has a Rotary Club, everybody wanted their group to have a Rotary Club, and the numbers had just multiplied. Maybe out of 214 which we have now, a little over half may come through. So yes, I do believe alumni, we should look outside the box and not just Rotary alumni. Then the next one is collaborating with local and business organizations. We thought outside the box there again. We have the Association of maybe engineers. So many classifications in there: mechanical, geodetic, hydro, electronic, electric, mechanical. We approach the association, and the good thing is, there's always someone within your Rotary district who belongs to one of these associations, and you put them together, they go to a meeting, and they sell Rotary from morning to night, and they come with a huge list of names of potential prospectors who want to come into Rotary. Not a lot of people do it. We've got the cancer survivors who are thinking about forming a club. We've got the Institute of Engineers and Chartered Accountants, aviation. In the aviation market, you've got the catering, you've got the engineers as well, you've got the ground staff. They all come together. It's a whole host of people that we miss because we only think of Rotary. So look out there as well. Now here's a new one, using membership leads. Now this can be a little bit tedious, but it worked. Sometimes you look at your leads, the membership chairs that are here, and people are scattered all over your district. And you may not be able to find clubs close enough for them. Why not put them all together? We have to make personal phone calls to each of them, asking, well, the nearest club is about 10 miles. Would you like if I put your name down as a potential charter member? You're all starting on the same page. We're training you, just like all the others. Oh, that sounds interesting. And before we could blink, 36 people were available, and we formed the Rotary Club. Then hold the line again, Toastmasters. We approached the executive of Toastmasters. I think we were the first to do it in the Rotary world, I'm not too sure. And their governor equivalent gave us a Rotary Club full of Toastmasters, and we, the governor being me at that time, gave them a Toastmaster Club full of Rotarians. You just need to advertise very, very well. Use social media. Word goes out so fast. It comes to one person, she pushes it to the other, and before you realize you're in Greenland, and people are calling, can I join your e-club? It's a very, very powerful tool to advertise what dream we want to make reality. So these are some of the few innovative and unique strategies. Not forgetting collaborating with local businesses and organizations. We approached our country's Chamber of Commerce and managed to form the first international Rotary Club in Ghana. There were so many foreigners in there, didn't have very solid local friendships yet, but they were all on one platform. We got them together, we did a PowerPoint explaining what Rotary was all about. Some of them were Rotarians already in the countries and, didn't mind joining some of the clubs already in existence, but we got a huge international club for the district. So when you look at all these examples, I'm very sure if you pick one or two of them and give them a go and stick with it, your membership is going to grow. And the last thing I must say, please, please, please wear your Rotary pin with pride. It's been the source of so much conversation, and by the end of that conversation, you've got a potential member following you to a club, or if the person is not in your country, you can recommend them to a club in the country they come from. It's a great conversational starter and a way for you to tell your Rotary story. I hope those of you sitting there will be able to take one or two of some of the suggestions and strategies that I've given you, and I hope you can grow your district. Let's make money. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. That is just great. Yeah. So now when you're going to your districts and you're going to your friends and say, start a club, you have those 6 reasons. And I love how you prioritize them. You know, ask your members. We always say ask your members, but you told us about the power of that. And I was reflecting, I remember once at my church, I asked this librarian to join, and she said, I'm honored that you would want me as part of your club. So those things are important. And the great news on the membership leads is Rotary International has hired a new vendor called Salesforce, and they're going to be taking the leads program on a new platform that takes it straight to the clubs. So I think that's going to be good. But those are just great ways. I'll have to get your notes later. Those are good. Okay, so we decided we're going to find a club. We found a champion. We know how to get our members. We know what they're going to do. Steve helped us with that. But let's face it, Virginia, nobody joins a club to do nothing. Like we said in the beginning, they join to do something. So can you tell us a little bit about projects and socials and how do you plan those? And when you do a cause-based club, do your projects have to match your goals in service?
Yeah, thank you. So I chartered the Rotary Club of the Pacific Northwest ending sex trafficking. And what's exciting about this club is that people long to be in positive action against such a dark topic. And it really is a dark topic. And people don't know where to start. We sit at home and we doom scroll and we feel upset about it, but what can I do? What can I do? And so these service projects are really exciting, even if it's what I would call acts of kindness. So certainly these projects are not going to stop trafficking, but it's a wonderful way for us to engage in the topic, engage in the community, and bring our own sphere of influence with us to the project. So simple projects are fine, and they are lovely, and it's a wonderful place to start. For example, some of the projects that my club has done are cookie gift bags for Organization for Prostitution Survivors. So at Christmas time, we assembled cookie bags for them. We have a medium-term residential program for people exiting the life. And my club, and we got 6 other Rotary clubs in my district to join us. And we went to their home and we did yard work and we planted fresh flowers, right? And so part of the power of these projects is not just that you get to do something nice, but as you're at the project, you're thinking about this organization and you're like, gosh, there's only 6 beds here, but when I drive down North Aurora, that's a place in our city, unfortunately, we have very conspicuous sex trafficking. You'll see 20 to 30 women in broad daylight, and you're thinking, we need more beds, we need more. It takes 2 years before you can integrate back into society. So even though planting flowers seems really simple, your members at the project will start having their own ideas about what's going on and how to be helpful. So I actually, as much as possible, I like to start when I have a new member, instead of inviting them to a Zoom meeting to hear from a local expert, which is nice for sure, but I try to get them to a service project. I like to start there because that's what they're there for, right? Like they want to be in action. And also, do not underestimate the power of the personal touch. Once you have somebody that is interested in your club, follow up with them personally. And one of my favorite things to do is to offer to share a ride to the service project, because then I get that one-on-one time in the car with them to kind of orient them to the project and get to know them a little bit better. And then after the project, we get to debrief together and what did we see, what did we think, what's next, right? That's really, really precious time, that one-on-one time. So I would say how to engage your members quickly, personally, and get them into your service projects quickly.
I love that, Virginia. I went to North Dakota the other day to speak at a district conference, and they had an expert talking about fundraising, and they said people are choosing just to give to a few things instead of a lot of things. So the hyper-personalization is what counts. So I like that. Now, these new clubs that are forming, many of them are e-clubs. How are the service projects different in an e-club than they would be in my club?
Well, I would say they're probably not that different, except that in an e-club, they are even more vital. Your club members will benefit from the face-to-face interaction and building critical mass. So our Rotary Club, we end-to-end, we're probably about 100 miles apart. If you go to the far reaches of our membership base, if you know the Seattle area, I say we're from Gig Harbor to Oak Harbor. And these in-person service projects are even more important. If you're not already meeting weekly over a meal, the service projects are more vital. That's how I would say that they're different.
Yeah. Now, Virginia, all of you panelists are experts in starting new clubs. You've started your own clubs. But I remember when I started, and you probably don't have any fears, and any fears you had, you've overcome them. But I remember starting my first club, I had a bunch of fears. Can you tell us what we should be worried about and what we shouldn't be worried about, and are those fears real?
Yes, okay, so there's going to be fears in ourselves of starting something new and courage. And there will be fears that you experience around you and around your district, perhaps. So some of the themes that I've seen is there's a fear that these new innovative clubs, that we're going to lose our honored Rotary traditions. And I say that as someone who comes from a traditional club, and I serve on the music committee. I proudly serve on the music committee. I love serving on the music committee. And you know what? Those types of traditions make our clubs feel out of date to new members. So to people who fear that our new clubs will make us lose our traditions, I would say let our traditional clubs keep their revered traditions. Let our new clubs create new traditions. There's also a fear that these new innovative clubs will erode prestige, that Rotary is maybe for executives and business owners, and that these new clubs are going to erode the prestige. And I would say, I would challenge you to instead embrace the younger and more diverse membership base that you will attract with this innovative club design, and that will be the future of our Rotary. You may also encounter a fear that these new clubs will cannibalize your traditional clubs in your district, that these new clubs will pull away members from these other clubs. And the data is pretty consistent, actually, that new clubs, 80% of the members are new to Rotary. Yes, there is a handful of members that switch clubs because they're attracted to that new club design. I will say, when I chartered the End Sex Trafficking Club, I did pick up some Rotarians from other clubs. They were on the brink of leaving those clubs already. And it's a win that we keep them in Rotary. So that fear will probably come up, and I would say persevere and start your new club anyway.
Thank you, Virginia. You assuaged my fears. I'm going to go and start some new clubs now. Thank you. So, Steve, we had this idea. We found our champion. We figured out what we needed to do. Yvonne told us all the 6 steps that we can find new members. And I know the application's not hard. It's only 4 pages to start a club. It's less for a Rotary club. But we have to list the officers. How do you figure out who the officers will be?
Yeah, so it's exciting now because we've got our members, haven't we? We're about to start our club. There's a little bit of administration involved, but we don't want to get too bogged down in that because actually the things that we need and the things that there's 2 separate answers actually. It's what the form needs and actually what we want as a club in terms of our officers and what's going to be needed. Because different types of clubs are going to operate in different ways. You know, we might not need, was it again, we did the music sector, the music, we might not need one of those, but we might need one. So we need to assess it as we go along. But, of course, we're going to need a president. We're going to, in fact, we're going to eventually be the president-elect as well. And on the form you fill in, you are allowed to put the same name on there. But we're going to need a secretary. These are the basic things that we need, and these are the sort of things that Rotary International are going to want. But that's not a difficult thing. What we need to be really thinking about is what is our club all about? What do we want? Because, you know, we're going to start moving on and we're going to think, we've got our club advisor and we need to make sure that that's the right person. We're getting really good advice. They're going to be telling us about projects. Projects are really important. So if people want to get involved in projects in the community, we might start thinking about having a community chair. Okay, we might start then getting more members, and as we get more members, we're going to have to maybe have a club mentor to look after those new mentors. Maybe if we move into an international realm, we're going to have to start an international committee or an international chair. Okay, so we've just got chairs at the moment because we're still low in numbers. But as those numbers increase, we might want to give those committee chairs some assistants, some team members. And those team members will get bigger and bigger. Now we're going to have a music committee, so we are going to have one, okay? So we need someone, and we'll give you an assistant as well. We'll have an assistant to play the piano or whatever, so I don't know. But it depends what your club is going to be. You model your own club. It's down to the members, as I said before, about how this club is going to grow. Eventually, of course, we're going to have to start getting a little bit more organised. So we might have to start looking at a board, okay, or a club council, as we call them in the United Kingdom. It's actually not that fashionable in the UK now. It tends to be one person, one vote. So, you know, but as the club gets more and more involved, we do need to look at these things. Socials are my favourite. We need a social secretary. We need to. Somebody said to me in a breakout session the other day, our social secretary is 89 years old. How do I organise a social without upsetting him? Okay, because he's been doing it for so long. My answer was just go out and organise a social. Just do it with your fellow club members and invite him. It'll be fine. But you know, it's always good to be organised. We need these things, and you know, if you have a large membership, as it gets bigger, you do need to be organised. So we need to have that board in place. What I would just like to say is that there is a room for every type of Rotary club, and without question, we need our traditional clubs and we need our new clubs as well. But let's wait and see. Don't rush into all committees and appointing people left, right, and centre. We don't need to do it. Take our time, and as the club grows, we will decide as members who we want, what committees we want, and what type of people we want. place.
Thank you, Steve. That was wonderful. So we're all excited. We filed that paperwork. We formed that club. And when I formed my first club, I thought it was done then, but my district governor said, no, you need to celebrate. So, Yvonne, why did he tell me that? Why is that important?
Well, you know, we all have to make a lot of noise about a good thing. Charter night and celebrating, the members themselves are more excited than we, the Rotarians, are bringing them in. It's a very big thing in Africa when you have a charter night. It's a black tie event. Tickets are sold way in advance. And I actually have one coming on the 29th of June for the alumni club that we formed. It's a good way of introducing the members into the Rotary fraternity in your country and also to the community. Because when we have charter nights, we invite the local bigwigs, you know, in the area, those that matter, and those that can help and support the club as well. So that's our first priority, to take the word out there that your community has a Rotary club. Other members, existing members of Rotary, also buy tickets and come in. We give them the opportunity, in my part of the world, to launch their first service project during their charter night. A lot of fundraising goes on, and it all goes to the new club to help you get off your feet. I think charter night is extremely special. A big day for the governor because it takes all the credit, you can go but it is so important, and I think that's why they say we should celebrate. We must get the word out there to as many people as possible that there's a new baby in town. Rotary Club or ABC.
That's wonderful. Virginia, same question.
Yeah, I just want to add a little bit to that, and that is, don't stop at your district governor. Your zone leaders will be excited about this too. And what's fun about having your zone leaders at your charter party is they really bring that gravitas and panache to your event, and they will be excited to celebrate with you. I would also say, especially if you are launching an innovative club, look for alumni in your Rotary district, people that left Rotary, because what they left was probably a traditional club, and you're going to be introducing them to something new and innovative. And people that used to be in Rotary that come back to Rotary are extra awesome members because they know Rotary, and they will help Rotarize the rest of your members. Yes, that's a verb, I just made it up. I underestimated how difficult it would be to Rotarize new members in a virtual format, and my existing Rotarians who came back actually I did pick up somebody from my charter party. He's now my president-elect, and he came back to Rotary because he was motivated to fight sex trafficking. So make your charter party a big deal.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Virginia. I think that's definitely true. And
You can invite Tom Gump. If you don't have anybody else to invite, you can invite Tom Gump.
And I will come. But rotarizing sounds painful. It sounds like a painful thing. But you know what we found is when we're starting a club, we actually have a certain number of people who want to see that the club actually forms. So we've always seen a bump in membership. If we charter with 25, we usually get like 5 more right after it charters because they want to make sure that it actually goes. So a follow-up question for Yvonne. Do you invite media as well? I know you said you invited dignitaries from the government. Do you invite media, newspaper, television, that kind of thing?
Yes, they're the first people on the list, the media. The local, like I said, the local bigwigs. We actually set up short interviews for the media and the TV stations. We give them a little corner in the room where they can interview the new officers, club officers. We do it a little bit different from what we heard earlier by, was it Steve? No, yes, from Steve. Well, part of our training, which takes about 8 weeks, involves the process of election of officers. So we only do the election when we've got a good a number and we let them elect. It's their club. You've got all the people here, you know, you've seen your characters and, you know, personalities. Let's vote, and we stay out of it, including the setting of the time and the day for the meeting. It's all their decision. So yes, the media, back to it, the media is very important, not only them, but local bloggers who can take the word out far and wide. Immediately while it's happening. On the news, you need to wait for it to come on. But this lot of social media personalities, it's instant while it's going on. They're busy screening. So social media, yes, all invited to Charter Night.
And do you encourage the charter members to bring their family members?
Yes.
Okay.
Family members, your friends, your distant relatives, anything will go. We've had charter nights where with babies, potential interactors, actors, they've been there. It's a very, very wide audience. Usually at the end of the charter ceremony, which is usually about maybe 2.5 or 3 hours, you get inquiries. So you find little leaflets on the table. I spoke about that earlier. With great service, depicting great service projects, what some of the other clubs have done, and a list of clubs we have in the district and the area that they meet, with the contact number as well.
Fantastic.
It takes about 3 months to organize.
That's wonderful, but well worth it for sure. So we have 8 minutes left, so I'd like each panelist, and we'll start with Andy and just go down the line. Sorry you weren't prepared for this, but you're a professional, so you could always be prepared. Give us the one thing that we should take away with us when it comes to forming new clubs, the one piece of advice you'd give us.
I strongly believe that we don't, Rotary does not have a membership problem. We have a leadership problem. It's important that, we as leaders take risks. We must fail and fail fast so we learn fast. So, all of your leaders, and that's why you're here in this room, let's go out and try, take the risk, push the boundaries. Because the more you fail, the more you learn. That's how you become a master. So, just take the risk of forming a new club, and I will share with you honestly that it's easier to build a new house than renovating an old one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. I would just say we had a new club that was, and it took me back to the fears. We talked about the fears, and it's the fear of other people when they see another club on the horizon. We had a club that was recently formed. There was a rugby club, a professional rugby club in the UK. They had a sponsors night, but all the sponsors of the rugby club, they all got together and they all raised money, and it took a great old time. Two of them turned to each other and said, "This is really good, we should get together more often and maybe do some work in our community and raise some money." Sat on the same table was a president from a local Rotary club, and he says, "I might just be able to help you with that." And a Rotary club was born like that. But the sad part of it is that the person who was behind it, his club objected. They objected to the forming of a new Rotary club. I'm seeing people nodding their heads here. We know it happens. We have to get over that. We have to get over that. And I don't want anybody in this room to have the fear that that's going to happen to them. We need to take these people with us, sit them down and tell them, actually, don't be frightened of a new club. Do not be frightened of a new club. Embrace it. These people are here to help you. Work with them. Can you imagine the impact that you can make on your community with another group that you can work alongside it. So embrace new clubs, that's what I would say.
If you're not sure where to start in starting a new club, I would say look in your own community for where Rotary is needed. And I'm talking about the headlines, the things that upset you the most. In our community, we're having a problem with street prostitution, homelessness, drug addiction, things like that. So as Rotarians, think about how you can link arms with your fellow Rotarians and prevent that problem from happening. Or, when it does happen, to restore people's lives when it does. And that is what is going to keep Rotary relevant in our communities, is by addressing modern day concerns. And that is what is going to help you attract new members and activate other adjacent clubs in your district.
I believe finding new members or for your own club or for a new Rotary club involves a multifaceted approach that leverages digital tools, personal networks, community engagement, diverse opportunities, and innovative and unique strategies, some of which we have spoken about today. If we use them, we can build a dynamic and committed, diverse membership base. During the opening ceremony of this convention, Madame Garcia spoke about us being not just a Rotary Club, but a strong, positive movement. And I think she was very right. We are not just clubs, we are a very strong, positive movement. And by welcoming new members into our fold, we amplify our impact and create a legacy of service. The fastest way to get those numbers up is to form new clubs. So give it a go. Some clubs, some districts have not formed a new club for over 10 years. Mm-hmm. Just start with one, and it is so fulfilling at the end of it, watching it come to life. Let's make magic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yvonne, that's great, and you're so right. My personal experience has been the first club you start, if it's a first club that hasn't been started in 10 years, that's the hard one. After that, it's easier. But just know that over the next year, President-elect Stephanie, President nominee Mario, they're going to be focusing on that. The membership committee is going to be focusing on new clubs. So thank you very much for coming, because you're going to be ahead of the curve because you have this knowledge. And let's give a huge round of applause to our panel of experts. We'll be happy if you fill out the evaluation, and we'll see you at the closing ceremony.